fun. So tonight, as I mentioned during announcements, we're going to be finishing up our series called The Happy Days, and If You Look Again, and the ones that aren't. Really, it's more what we're focused on is the ones that aren't. It's more of just a trick you to think, oh, we're talking about happy stuff, and then, yeah, we're not, actually. So, Nick, you're going to cause me to have to do an issue during the recording because of the microwave running right now. I had to cut out the air conditioning from last week's because it had a high-pitched squeal. I literally turned it off with the breaker because there's no reason to have the air conditioning on right now because it's not cold. Because it was so loud. I literally could hear it up here in the recording.
Oh.
So.
You recorded?
Yes, we do record.
He's always recording.
Camera.
Which we'll get to that in a hot second.
That?
Yes.
And where do you post it?
YouTube.
So like every Wednesday you post it on YouTube?
I'm a little behind, but yes.
How do you?
I got the first week's up. I finished up last week, and hopefully I'll have both the last week and this week up before we start next week.
So like everything I say is on YouTube?
It's going to be yes, unless I cut it out. Yep.
This is awesome.
There's all of like 5 people currently subscribed, so I don't really have to worry. Yeah, it's like Ethan and like one of my other like personal YouTube channel, and
Maybe
so
maybe one of the videos of you saying something will go viral.
a couple people. I think Jacob might be subscribed as well. But anyways.
I will say that this being on YouTube is not an opportunity for you to say heinous things. It's an opportunity for us to hear Jesus.
I never
Let's
said that.
not say heinous
I left it open to suggestion.
Matthew, what's YouTube?
I will send that out later. Do not do that right now. Okay. Focus. So, if you guys have not been here, this series, again, we've been talking, it's called The Happy Days. And it's really been about how we all have these different emotions. I've already handed out the emotion wheel, and all of these are God-given, right? God created us with emotions, and if He didn't create us with emotions, or if He had created us with emotions, why would He not want us to have them, right? So God created us to have emotions. And we're allowed to feel them. We don't need to feel like we need to be happy all the time. We're allowed to be sad, happy, scared, whatever. That's the whole point, right? And one of the points of that being that by allowing ourselves to feel it, it allows us to get through the issues we're going through instead of just ignoring them, pushing them aside, whatever. So I would like to clarify one thing before we jump in really into tonight. I know for some of you guys, you may have thought this series is very much just like life lesson type stuff. Like, what is the gospel in this? You know, we're at church. You know, you've talked about some Jesus, you've used the Bible, but where is the gospel in this? And, you know, that is true. It is life lessons. It is good life skills to be how do you go through these difficult times, but the gospel is still here. And I want you guys to remember again that God created everything, right? God created everything and us and our emotions. And when sin came into the world, that all got messed up because people went against God and messed up His original plan for us. And that's why Jesus came, and that's why we have the Bible to get us back on track with God and to guide us back to Him. So if God gives us a plan and ways to live our lives and how to maybe handle our feelings, it's because that's how we were designed to do it. So we're just talking about God's still plan for us and our design for us, even if we're not directly mentioning that Jesus, died on the cross and all those kinds of things. It's still, of course, always directly related to the gospel and what God's doing for us. So, tonight we are going to be talking about how to help others with their feelings. We've been talking about ourselves. Now we're going to be like, okay, I'm not dealing with the hardship. My friend is dealing with the hardship. How do I console them, support them, all those kinds of things. So, talking about the YouTube again, I would like to ask if one of you guys would feel comfortable talking about something for just like 30 minutes to a minute. 30 seconds to a minute, not 30 minutes. This shouldn't go 30 minutes. 30 seconds to a minute about something that's bad that's happened in your past. Not something that's actively going on, something that's gone on in your past. Maybe it's been worked through, maybe it's just been years ago, whatever it is. And of course that would mean you'd be coming up here and your face would be on YouTube. So that is, if you guys don't want to do that, that's fine. But I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Does it have to be like in the past, or can it be like something that happened in the past but is still kind of going on still?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
But we will kind of analyze it, so do with that what you will. So, anyone? Come on up. Memphis, tell us about your hard times that have happened.
It's been like 8 years, I think.
Okay.
That I've been like in split custody, and it's been tough because my dad's is a lot worse than my mom's.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't like get fed dinner, or have clean sheets to sleep on, or even a pillow some nights. But it's been getting a little better. He's actually been taking care of us. We've had dinner a lot the past few weeks we've been going, and my mom is still trying to find a good enough lawyer to get us away.
Is that what you?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's
Good to-
not easy to do. So yeah, you can go and sit down. Thanks, Memphis. So imagine you guys are me, standing right beside Memphis. He's just told you that. You guys are obviously just all heard this too. And in a situation like this, you might think of, okay, how do I respond? How do we help Memphis out? Okay? There's a couple things that we typically will do in times like this. The first one is we'll avoid it. I may go, oh, that sucks, Memphis. You want to go play some basketball? And just like avoid the whole conversation entirely. Like, no, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna go do something else because I don't know if he wants me to help or back off or if he wants some space. So I'm just gonna not do anything, and I'm just giving them their space, right? I'm just gonna do that. But in reality, we're probably just ignoring them until Memphis feels better and the situation's because we just don't want to deal with the hardship. Okay, so we're avoiding the situation. We might not know what to say, what to do, or we just don't like the awkwardness of having to deal with something that's difficult. Okay? The next thing, we could try to fix it. I could go up to Memphis and say, hey, how about I try to help you with all these resources or do something or, give you advice on the situation or maybe those kinds of things. Maybe that's what you guys would do. But, again, if this had been something that's super, super recent, it probably wouldn't be very helpful for you, Memphis, if I came up trying to give you contacts for, you mentioned a lawyer, like trying to give you contacts for a lawyer. It probably wouldn't be very beneficial for you at the moment, right? So, when we try to say the right thing or do the right thing, it's not going to make things go away instantly for that person. There are obviously there's exceptions to all these things, but it's not going to make it go instantly away because that's not how our emotions work. That's not what we've been talking about. Is that things take time. And one of the worst things that we can end up doing, and if Sarah were here, she would tell you that I've done this way more times than I can like to admit, is to repeatedly ask, hey, what's wrong? How can I help you? Like, how can I fix it? Like, okay, you're telling me all these things, like, what can I do? Because I'm a fixer. I'm an engineer. You guys know this. Half my job is just solving problems when they come up to me. So my thing is like, okay, problem, they are sad. Solution, must be happy. Let's fix it. Okay, that's what my mind does. I know some of you guys are the same way. But what we do, we mean well by this. I'm not doing that because I'm like, I don't care about Sarah and I just want to know. Or, we don't care about you. We just want to help. But it just doesn't say work the right way. Because what it does is we're making the person we're trying to help feel rushed to, one, get over their sadness because we want them to be happy and we just want them to go from here to here and be done with it. And two, the pressure to be happy and to verbalize and know what's wrong. Because you guys know this, when things are going wrong, you don't necessarily know what's going on inside of you. You just know something's wrong, okay? That doesn't help when we push them. We just place this unnecessary pressure on someone else's happiness. The last thing that's very common for us to maybe try to do is we offer an unhealthy escape. I'm sure you guys have seen in the TV shows where someone's gone through a bad breakup and like, you know what? Rebound relationship. It's like, horrible idea, something bad happens, or let's go get plastered.
Or
and
drink.
Yeah, drinking and getting plastered, and then you wreck your car. And, nothing ever good happens in those situations. You end up causing your problems and making them worse. Yeah.
What does it mean to get plastered?
Really, really drunk.
Okay.
Like really drunk.
I've never heard that.
Not that
word
I've ever been
before.
there because I don't drink. But
Good job,
lost my place. So yeah, we try to offer something to numb the pain because we're trying to make them avoid the emotion so they're not dealing with it. Like it's still maybe trying to do something right, but oftentimes we're just creating more problems because those solutions are again not good ones. We're running to something worse than what they were going through right then. So instead of avoiding, fixing, or offering an unhealthy escape, I want to offer you guys a different way to look at this, another solution to help people out in your lives when they're going through something difficult. And you guys can guess it. We're going to look at the Bible. What a surprise. I know, it's youth group. But we're going to specifically look at Paul and Jesus and how they talk about things. So if you didn't know, the first Christians were persecuted a lot. And if you don't know what persecution is, basically it means having someone come after you and cause you harm because of what you believe in. For the first Christians, that means, oh yeah, my friend just got burned at the stake the other day. I'm not kidding. That's literally what would happen. At one point, they were called human candles because they would put them with tar and burn them from the feet up, and they would use them for lighting. I am not kidding. This is a legitimate historical fact because they were Christian. So, obviously for them, life wasn't very easy, and emotions were running pretty high. I know if my friend was having that happen to them, it'd be pretty hard. They would be dealing with the fear and uncertainty of knowing, hey, the government might come and raid our house and throw us all in jail or do whatever else to us for just being together and being Christian. And all that sorrow that goes with it. But also hope, knowing that, God has saved us. It hasn't happened yet. Or maybe I have survived. Or, even overall, no matter what happens to me, I know where I'm going. And that all the suffering that happens in this world is the worst I'm ever going to have. And I'm going to have that hope of the future in heaven. Okay, so they have these back and forth emotions, right? So Paul, we talk about all the time, wrote most of the New Testament and started many of the first churches outside of Israel. And he said this to the church in Rome. This is Romans 12, 15 through 16. Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. So, Paul's words are not just instructions of how to live your life, right? It's a reflection of his empathy and understanding of what these people were going through in their daily lives, right? He encourages the church to embrace and support each other no matter what is going on. If people are happy and they're having a good time, if, maybe they brought a friend and they've come and joined the Christian church and they've joined the faith. I mean, that's a great time, but maybe something else has happened and they've been persecuted. There's that mourning in there. It's both. You don't just do one or the other. Paul didn't say, hey, rejoice with those who rejoice. And if someone's mourning, tell them that God's going to get them through it. It's all going to be okay. And they need to suck it up and be happy. It's not what he says, right? He says, mourn with those who mourn. It doesn't say that you can't give good advice. But the first thing you do is meet them there, right? You meet them in their emotions. You're not just going to say, get over it, be happy. You're not being very Christ-like because you're not happy right now. That's not what he says. He's saying it's okay to feel a range of emotions, and you just want to be there for them through all of them. And of course, Jesus' life gives us a similar example with these kinds of things, like we talked about last week, but in a different one. In the book of Matthew, this is what happens with Jesus' life. Matthew chapter 20. As Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet, but they shouted all the louder, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. Jesus stopped and called them. What do you want me to do for you? Pause there. Catch what he just did. He doesn't immediately run up and solve their problem. He doesn't not stop at all and keep moving on. He first asks them a question. What do you want? I know a lot of us, when we're crying out for help and having hard times, it's all we really want is someone to come up and just say, hey, do you want me to try to fix it? Do you want me just to be here? Do you want me to, maybe you just haven't eaten in a while. You just need some food because you've just been so sick inside that you just haven't taken care of yourself. Just asking those questions, right? What can I do for you? And when he asked this question, they answered, Lord, they answered, we want our sight. And Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. So Jesus hears what they want, right? And he has compassion on them. He sees and knows the fact that they have had or been blind probably their whole lives. and he knows what they've gone through, and he puts himself in their shoes, and he has that compassion. He enters their world, he listens to them, he cares about them, and then he fixes it, because that's what they were asking for, right? And all throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus respond in a similar manner of this empathy and compassion for those around him. He doesn't just brush people off like, oh, they're just some burden, their emotions are just get over it, you're just petty emotions, go away, they're unnecessary. No, he goes into those emotions with them. He goes into their situation, and he does the same thing for me and you. And not only that, he wants us to do the same thing for those around us. Because again, God came down. Jesus came down as an example for how we are supposed to live. So when you have a friend who's feeling sad or angry or afraid, you can care about them the same way that Jesus cares for you. So, and that's one of these reasons why Jesus had that big crowd following him. Because he saw people. He really saw them. And he didn't just look at their behavior and just their outward appearance. He's talking about dealing with the sinners and the bad people of the time. The religious leaders looked down on him because he was eating with tax collectors, which, if you didn't know, were the scum of the earth in that generation for multiple reasons.
I mean, shoot, we still don't like the IRS.
Exactly. So, with all that, he's looking at them as human beings, no matter what they have done, but what they're going through, what they've been through, and how he can help them. And you and I can do the same thing. We can give others space to feel. Instead of avoiding people or trying to fix them or giving them an unhealthy escape, we can offer support, encouragement. Again, there's limits to these things. And our empathy and compassion for what's going on in their lives. So, how do we do this? Okay, I hear you. Don't avoid, fix, or try to offer them an unhealthy escape. We're supposed to do these other things. But how do I actually go about doing that practically? Well, this is the first thing. Practice empathy. Might be something new for you guys. I don't know. Practicing empathy means that we say, okay, this is what's going on in their life from what I know. I may not have been through that at all. Maybe you've gone through something a little bit similar. And I'm going to try to imagine what it's like to be in their situation and feel the way they are feeling. Having empathy for them, is that's what that means. But what it doesn't mean, I'm going to clarify this. What it doesn't mean is over-identifying with this person. You are there to support them, not try to completely copy all of their emotions and quote-unquote take on all their stuff. Because one, you can't do that. You cannot take someone else's emotions and put them on you. All that's really doing is now you're both in this horrible emotional state, and now someone else needs to come and help both of you. Okay? So it might be something that seems like a good idea. Oh, I'm just trying to really just feel them so I can, be there to support them. But you don't have to fully feel everything to support them. So, empathy also involves respecting someone else's need for space. There may be times where I'm very much an introvert. I've told you guys this more times than I can remember, that a lot of times when I process things, I just need to be alone. That's okay. There is nothing wrong with needing to be alone. Now, of course, caveats with everything. If you know that they may be potentially going to harm themselves, there's other things you need to do. You need to reach out to whatever that may be, because sometimes people push people away and they're going to hurt themselves. But aside from that, if a friend says they need some time to themselves, you respect that. And you can maybe, send an occasional text. I know for you guys, some of you that may be every 5 minutes, because I know you guys, but an occasional text is like maybe once a day if you text like 24/7. And if it's more than that, it could be every couple days. Just be like, hey, you ready to talk, or you still need some time? Just something simple. You don't pester them. You don't go, hey, you okay? Why aren't you answering me? Hey. Because trust me, myself and others I know, when people do that to them, it makes it worse, not better. Okay? Because then they feel that pressure to respond. And when that pressure makes someone else feel like they have to be happy, they have to be good. You don't want to do that. Not if you really want to help them out. So, don't push them to open up before they're ready. The next thing, yeah.
I know you're talking about texting, but sometimes, especially when people are going through mourning, just being there.
Yep.
You don't even have to talk.
Yep.
Just being there, whether they need a shoulder to cry on, a hug occasionally.
Yep.
Or just somebody to sit with them because they don't want to be alone.
That's actually the point. No, you're good. You're good. I don't have a hat exactly in that like that. So
I wanted to mention, just so that you all have this information in case you don't already, if you are concerned about someone hurting themselves or potentially worse, that's not something. Don't expect yourself to know how to resolve that situation. Don't expect yourself to have the qualifications to resolve that situation. There are qualified people among you within your school, counselors, teachers, even us. You can report that stuff to us so that we can get in contact with the people who are qualified to handle that. But that is what you all should do
Yes.
if you are aware of that happening or the potential for that to happen.
Yep.
It's very, very important. The safest thing that you can do for that person is to reach out to an adult that you trust who can get that person the help that they need.
Yep.
Because I love you all. You all aren't in the position
to stop.
to stop that one. And as uneasy as it can be, you really aren't in a position to help that person because there's a lot of psychology and just there's a lot of knowledge that goes into handling that situation that no one expects you all to have. So don't expect that of yourself.
Yep. Very good. Next thing, show support. So for you guys, considering how you can create that supportive environment, what does that look like? This might mean being more thoughtful about the words you use. Try not to use phrases that just dismiss whatever's going on. Again, that could be like, oh, that thing is just not that big of a deal. You're just overreacting. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, what's...
Or
Like,
saying,
just
"That
get over it."
sucks.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Imagine a friend, or really you, imagine you go up to a friend and you're really upset because you just failed a test. Okay? And they just looked at you and go, it's okay, you'll do better next time. Or, don't worry, it's just one test. But what they might not know, or if you're in their shoes, that maybe that test was the difference between 2 letter grades. And that was super important to you. Or, you've got super strict parents who you need to do amazing every single time, and that is going to get you in a lot of trouble because you did bad on that one test. Or maybe it was just hey, I've been really insecure about how I'm doing right now, and that one test was the last straw, and I feel horrible about myself. You don't know why they have this big deal about this thing, and you might not know why this is such a big deal to them. But the last thing you want to do is just say, oh, it's fine. Like, it's okay, it's just one test. Because for them, it's not just one test. Otherwise, they wouldn't be acting this way. Okay? Things that would be better for them to probably hear would be things like, I am really sorry to hear that. It sounds like you're feeling really disappointed right now. Or maybe I can see why that would upset you. That sounds really tough. And then going to see, what can I do for you? The responses afterwards. Do you want me to be here, a shoulder to cry on? Or do you need some space? Those kinds of things. Or, hey, maybe I'm good at the subject. Do you need me to help you next time? Something like that, okay? But don't expect a response. This just shows them that you're acknowledging their feelings without saying, yeah, you're dumb for feeling that way. Please get over yourself. That's not what you want to do for your friend. So, last thing, of course, you probably should expect this. Pray for others. Jeez, Aaron.
I completely missed it.
You did. You can pray for your friend. I know, surprise, right? And then you can pray for them again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Not only can you ask God to help comfort them and get them through the situation and show Him, and that whatever that situation is, and all those kinds of things, but you can also ask God to give you the wisdom for what to say and how to approach that situation. Do that all the time, guys. Trust me, especially, I still do it now, but especially when I was first starting, and one of you guys, I don't remember who it would have been, but one of you guys came up to me and gave me this similar situation. I was like, I have no idea how to respond. God, please help me. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done this before. I was not the emotional guy in high school. I was the closed up, bottled up guy. So when someone else comes to me open hearted, I'm like, that's true. So ask God for that help, right? Prayer is such a powerful way to support people when you're going through those difficult times. It's not just on there to be there last just because it's the last thing what you hear, but also because it's so important and because it's something you can do when you are waiting for them. If they need that time, you don't need to wait to pray for them when they're ready. You can pray for them whenever. So,
I don't know what you would want somebody to do for you.
Yep.
If it were you going through something.
exactly.
Good morning, Matthew. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bro, he was out.
Oh, I saw. So remember that Jesus shows us that it's okay to feel all the emotions. Remember, they're God-given. We're allowed to have them, and so are others. And He's going to give us that space, and He gave others that space to feel, and we should do that for those around us as well. So as you go into your week, again, remember to give others the space to feel. Don't give them so much space that you're avoiding them, and that you're not there for them at all. But don't give them so little space that they feel like they have to rush. Again, there is a fine line. This is not going to be something you get immediately. This is not anything that any of our adults have us. Trust me, I still make these mistakes with you guys, and I apologize in advance for my failures. So, you don't have to know everything. Again, you don't have to be perfect. But trying your best to support and encourage them and try to put yourselves in their shoes and do what Jesus did for all of us and does for all of us. So as you guys head to small group, which we'll have to split up in a second, I want you guys to be thinking about this. This week, how can you give others the space to feel? What can you guys do differently in the way you approach things, the way you live your life to help those around you? Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this time. Thank you for your compassion and coming onto this earth and living firsthand the emotions and the circumstances that we go through. I think it's so easy for us to just forget everything that you went through with rejection from family, close relatives, and mourning loss of friends, and everything in between, Lord. We just forget how much you understand us. Lord, I ask that you would touch each of our hearts as we leave this place tonight and help us to focus more on you and do what you would call us to do and live the way you have shown as an example for us to live. We love you and we thank you for your goodness and eternal faithfulness, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Hi, YouTube.